Should you make more money to be happy, or is that just a myth that money doesn't bring you happiness? Should you just pursue making money? Should you just chase? Or should you search for other things that bring you happiness? I have a perspective, which is that I think money absolutely can buy you access to happiness. Yes, I'm saying it. It can and it does. And so many people that have money have a comfortable life, but they're not necessarily happy too. So two things can be true at the same time. So should you pursue money or a lifestyle or wealth? What is it that you really want? And I think the first thing that people think about when you say that you should pursue wealth or lifestyle is like something like this behind me, okay? A big house and a nice car. Yes, the toys do make up for some of the shortcomings in your life. Maybe you're not happy with something, you go out, you buy something, it makes you feel good, you get that dopamine hit, and you're in a good place. Absolutely agree with that. Does it make you feel fulfilled? And I don't think it does. I really don't think that pursuing money endlessly will make you feel fulfilled and happy. You will always be chasing the next thing. What is the next thing? I noticed this about myself. In my early days, I was very keen to make a certain amount of money each year. And every single time I would reach that threshold, I'd want to make more and more and more and more. Until there was one point I was making well over 6 figures, contracting, making crazy money for my age in what I do. I was making a lot of money. I was thinking to myself, why is this never enough? It's never enough because you're always comparing yourself to other people. You're always thinking about other things. You always want more things. So it got to me that with time and seeing how other people were living their lives and how they were constantly spending their money and never being happy, that maybe if you had this resource coming to you endlessly, then maybe you can find some happiness. Of course you can. But there is a kind of happiness that you don't get from money. And rather, it's the lack of debt or lack of obligations that makes you happier. What I mean by that is that if you can reduce your outgoings sufficiently enough, you don't have to try and make more money. You can live on what you're earning. £50,000 a year, no mortgage, no rent. You will live a comfortable life. You could actually be happy, depending on where you live. If you live in the north of England, for example, you could be really happy. So it's not about making 150 grand a year, but rather, what's the least amount of money you can make annually that could make you happy, that you can do whatever you want, however you want to spend your days. Maybe you don't want to work 5 days a week. Maybe you want to go down to 4 days a week or 3 days a week. More money won't necessarily buy you that because it's difficult to go down to 3 days a week. If you still have outgoings, if you have debts, if you have a mortgage, or if you have rent, even rent's actually worse than a mortgage. So what I discovered was that the key is to try to make as much as you possibly can early on in your career. Whatever stage you're at, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're not young anymore. But if you can sacrifice 7 years of just finding a key skill, something that can make you as much money as possible, and then buy a cheap property. You don't have to buy the massive house. You don't have to go for that. Get something small, something cheap. Remove the mortgage. Free yourself. The shackles of the 9-to-5 world will never stop. So, back to the original premise of this video. Does money make you happy? It depends. Overall, not having debt certainly helps. It'll keep you working. But maybe you could find fulfillment in doing something that you really enjoy. And it doesn't have to make you a lot of money. You could be a music teacher, for example. Or you could be a dance teacher. You could be a painter or decorator. I used to be a consultant. I used to work in tech. I used to work in finance. I worked in various sectors. And so many of my colleagues that I was contracting with in my early days when we were making a lot of money have all stopped doing the tech game. One of my colleagues is a handyman now. He fixes things. The reason he can do that is because he doesn't have a mortgage anymore. His obligations are less. His obligations are less. And it means that he can just take risks whilst having an open mind that allows, I know this is going to sound a bit woo, but the universe attracts opportunities for him. You ever notice that when you've got money and you're feeling good and you're not worrying about anything, everything just seems to fall into place. When I was contracting in my early days, once I got the first major contract, which was £500 a day, a lot of money for me. Once I got that first one, I was getting all sorts of offers. I even remember turning down one for like £900 a day. And I was like, I can do better than that. But that's what happens. The complacency kicks in, rather not complacency, but your tolerance to risk changes when you have abundance. You don't feel beholden. You don't feel stressed. You don't feel like you have to make the right decision. You just know that things will work your way. So my friend does this handyman job. It pays whatever it pays, but he doesn't have a mortgage. He's got savings. And best of all for him, he wanted to work 3 days a week. That's it. So he's got enough. It sustains him. By the time he gets to his pension, he will have enough to retire. And it's these people I worked with that I realized that even though they were making way more money than me, they were living a lifestyle that would mean if they were not contracting anymore, if they were working a lower paid job, they would still have the comforts of living where they live, having their house, having their cars, having their things, holidays, still do all those things. Not the same amount, but it certainly helps. Anyway, what do you think? Does money make you happy or not? I don't think it necessarily does, but it helps. So remove your debts, face up to your debts, don't hide from them. If you have that car on finance, get rid of it. Get rid of that car on finance, I'm telling you. Pay off that debt. Buy a cheap car outright. You do not need to spend all this money on this stuff. Save into your pension. That's where most people build their wealth in the UK. Either that or you start a business. If you can start a business, perfect. If you can't, build a pension. If you like this stuff, guys, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Give me a sub. I'll see you at the next one. Good luck.